When I was 16, I was having my O-levels and I closed my eyes. I just saw like so many faces in my head, and it was really like specific faces. And I would say, hey, look, you need to stop. I was telling my brain, so I was like experimenting. Is it my brain or is it like something outside of the world? And then when I told it to stop, my bed would shake a little bit. And I would have sleep paralysis like every night.
Hello and welcome back to Open House. I'm your host, Durga. And today we dive into the fascinating world of witchcraft, and we have with us Bambi, a modern day witch. Welcome to Open House, Bambi. Thank you so much for being here. So today we're very interested to learn more about your trade, witchcraft. So let's start. What is witchcraft?
Well, witchcraft is a very general term. You've watched like Salem Witch Trials, American Horror Story, The Coven. So, there's always a negative connotation in movies, TVs, and, witchcraft is like all bad. It's used to curse people, hex people, but it's not like that. So to me, my personal definition, because everyone would have different definition of their own practices in witchcraft. There's kitchen witch, there's green witch, where you take herbs and you work with that. Kitchen witch, where you cook and you set intentions. For me, my definition is definitely manifestations, intentions. You can work with moon periods, you can work with deities. It's a very big umbrella. It can be like pagan, new pagan, Wiccan. So many different things. Generally for me, I take like ancient practices. I take my own intuition. I take things from the Wiccan side, the pagan side.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah, I do.
So does it have religious connotations, spiritual, or is it all based on energy?
For me, spirituality is so important. So I take whatever I believe in. Like for example, even Buddhism, I read about it, I take lessons from it. I just take what aligns with me.
What feels comfortable for you?
Yeah, totally.
Basically. Now, you've shared in past, interviews, I know that, your family, they were quite sensitive to the supernatural. Could you maybe tell me a little bit more about that and how you were influenced by that as well?
Okay, so my mom, she's very sensitive to like spirit stuff. Like she would hear things in her room, and she would feel like sick whenever you go to like isolated places or even the forest. And her cousins too. Her cousins would see the same spirit at one time together. So I thought that was fascinating. I would hear stories from her, and I always try to figure out what's wrong with me, because I do see like things.
You went through similar
things, but less than her. So that was quite interesting. But along the way with this, the love witch, and just exploring my spirituality, I realized everyone has the ability to tap on their higher self, which is the instinctive, the intuitive self that everyone just misses because environment, capitalism, we have to work, and we don't get in touch with ourselves.
Right. So you believe that each one of us, like even me, if I choose to bring it out, I have it as well.
Of course. Okay. So there's a definition. If you can search on Google, there's clairvoyance, there's claircognizance, clairgustance, everything. So you have to just explore.
Right. Now, you mentioned earlier, when we were chatting a bit off camera, you mentioned that, there's black magic in witchcraft as well. Would you like to share a little bit more about
Oh my God. Okay, so in 2021, people knew me as the Love Witch because I did media, like different media channels. They were huge media. And I would be honest, like they banked on it, because black magic was like, oh, it's interesting. And then you have this like young girl with this like pretty face, they put everything on. And you know what? Like today I sit here and I just want to like share my story. Witchcraft isn't just about black magic, and there shouldn't be so much emphasis on that. To me, you can have like different arts, like black arts, grey arts, white arts, and you can use like different magic for different purposes. For example, if you are someone that abused an animal and you're just angry with that, you want justice, sure, you can use black magic. You can expedite legal processes for this animal abuser, or you can just use like simple herb magic, which is white magic, so-called, to expedite like bonding between you and your friends. Honestly, intentions, energy, karma is so important. And if you spread like the good word of what witchcraft is, people will just heal.
Please correct me if I'm wrong. Like witchcraft is really about the intention and the energy that you want to send out.
Yes.
Sort of like the messaging you want to send out. So if you do good, you get good. Something like that.
Well, to me, it's like what witchcraft is like you use tools to provide your intentions to the universe.
Now, witches have always had some negative connotations throughout history, right? They were persecuted, centuries ago. Now, how have you overcome this misconception? And what's a major misconception that you've had to face?
To me, in Singapore especially, when I first started, there was a lot of negative connotation, but also a lot of supporters. You have this group of people in Singapore that pass down beliefs. There's Buddhism, Christianity, there's different religion. But then this whole concept is so new. So when they see something new, they're like, is this a scam or is this,
So initially, did they think it was like a scam of sorts?
I wouldn't say a lot of people thought about that. A lot of people at first ridiculed like me, but then also there's supporters. Over time, it's been 4 years I had this shop. It's just growing customers because people explore their own spirituality and they think, oh, okay, that's interesting,
Right. And if it works, they come back to you.
Totally. Yeah.
Right. Now, going back to a bit of your childhood, clearly you didn't just wake up one day and decide to embark upon this career, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure it's something that's been in you throughout your childhood, your teenhood. So are there any memorable experiences that you felt so strongly about that, okay, maybe I have an inclination towards this?
Yeah, totally. Especially when I was 16, I was having my O-levels and I closed my eyes, I just saw like so many faces in my head. And it was really like specific faces. And I would say, hey, look, you need to stop. I was telling my brain, so I was like experimenting. Is it my brain or is it like something outside of the world? And then when I told it to stop, my bed would shake a little bit. And I would have sleep paralysis like every night. So that was very interesting for me. And the next day, my mom would say the same thing. She would say like someone like walk around her bed, sort of.
She can feel it.
She felt it physically.
I see.
Right. So that was interesting. And I grew up, just going to like different religious like help because I didn't know what's wrong. I would say I didn't grow up to say like, oh, I want to be a witch or I want to start this business. No, honestly, I wanted to join United Nations or I don't know, like do something, be a singer.
You were in a different industry prior to this, right? You were a teacher.
I was a teacher. Then I was trying music as well. I didn't think like, oh, I want to start the Love Witch. No.
Right.
Yeah.
And what really drew you back? Like, what was that push factor?
Yeah, so I had a friend who said like, hey, pick up tarot cards, right? So I did pick up tarot cards and I just like, okay, just try on my friend. And he was like, how do you know this? Then I was like, I don't know. I just used what I felt in my head. And then after my friend was like, hey, why don't you try like spells? And I was like, what the hell is that?
Oh my God, what the hell's that?
So I read up books and I was like, hey, it's fascinating. Why don't I try like using my own ways? And I saw things manifesting.
Now, how does it, like, do you, for lack of a better word, do you go to like a witch school? Like, what they show in Harry Potter?
Oh, you know what? I didn't watch nothing about Harry Potter. No, I don't know about Harry Potter at all.
I know I'm going to get crucified, but I've never watched Harry Potter myself. But I see, it's like, so how do you gain this knowledge? Is it through reading? Is there a teacher, a mentor?
Honestly, it's just like a lot of readings. When I am fascinated about a topic, I just read and read and read nonstop. I just like experimented myself and also read some recipes. So there's some recipes that I still take on for the oils that I do. So yeah.
Now, what were some of the key challenges that you faced when you first started out? You mentioned earlier that you received some criticism and all that, but what were the main challenges that you had to overcome?
Challenges would be I had friends that deleted me off Facebook. Like really, really religious friends that deleted me off Facebook for no reason. So I felt like that kind of hurt a little bit. But then I also respected the person's decision.
This is right after you started the business.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a challenge. And then, of course, growing my team. So now we have like, I think, 8 to 10 people on my team.
Congrats.
So at first it was a struggle because I didn't know how to run a business. I'm not a business person. Yeah.
Right. So when you had to sort of get the people through the door, what did you do to convince them that these spells, because it's self-taught, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
So how would you convince them that this could actually work?
Right. So we actually have a lot of educational content on our Instagram and even TikTok. We have some special days like pagan days that we celebrate. We have the Inbok, the Samhain, which is like so-called near the Halloween period. So we do a lot of content information. And also we kind of like put what you should do on these days, like what candles you should use, what spells you should do. If you're not sure, of course, you can always come to me for spells, you know.
Right. So how does the process work? Do they order online to get the spells?
Some people order online, but some people prefer to walk in and just, you know, have a feel. Some people are more intuitive. They walk in and they feel certain things speak out to them. And then we have our trained staff in store.
To help them with so it's like a consultation
Yeah.
depending on their needs and
Or questions, you know, we're just here to answer. We're not here to upsell anything. If you just feel it, you feel it. Yeah.
Right. So you do spells, but do you also do things like curses and things like that?
But less these days.
Okay.
Yeah, but I still do sometimes.
Sometimes. So maybe just to ask a little bit, you know, does that cross an ethical boundary for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. So the love which I always tell everyone, like all of my team members, whenever people question something, don't always lead them to like cursing products because it's very linked to karma. Because if you do something that's like not justified, if you set intentions to the universe that's not balanced, it's definitely gonna hit you back.
Right. Yeah, what goes around
comes around. So it's very important to set ethical boundaries. So for example, if you were to walk in and you say like, oh, I hate my ex, I want to curse him to death, I would say, hey, look, step back. You know, there are other options, right? You can do a soulmate spell. You can look for your soulmate. This ex is probably not for you, right?
So you guide them towards the other end. That means towards something more positive for themselves.
But if things are really in a dire situation, of course, yes, I would say, okay, maybe that's something for you to consider, but I'll probably not do it for you. You do it yourself.
No, right. What is the strangest request that you've had?
Oh gosh, you know what? Okay, in my mind, I remember someone asked me to sell my hair. Yeah, to the person, and he would pay like 400. And someone said like, could Bambi help me have sex with goddess Athena? I would pay $4,000 for that.
Right.
And I was like, okay, you need to seek help.
Clearly you didn't sell your hair. Oh my God. So do you think sometimes these questions come around because they feel that they don't understand what witchcraft is? And they feel that, oh, I can throw anything at the person.
Yeah. You know, we even have people sending in cut wrists to us on WhatsApp.
Sorry? Like a blood sacrifice? Or?
No, like a depressed state of mind.
I see.
Yeah.
And how did you handle that?
I mean, we had to handle it professionally. We just say like, you know, you shouldn't seek us, but professional help instead, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to go back a little bit, you know, about your journey, you know, into this. At the end of the day, like, what gave you the confidence? Number one, to go into something so unique. You know, so unusual to say the least, right? And also what gave you the confidence to put down that money and say that I'm going to start a business?
Because I'm a businessman.
Yeah, honestly, I would say there's no confidence in the things that I've done. But what I would say is I was led by my intuition. I didn't expect myself to open a witchcraft store. It was just like the idea popped in my head. It's very interesting. You have to go to this like human design calculator.
Okay.
Right? And I'm actually a manifestor.
Right.
And manifestors work on this kind of like energy, like it comes in your head and you just feel like doing it.
Right.
So if you don't do it, you feel itchy, you know? And even with the spells and all that, it's not like I would know what to do. But when I'm doing it, when I'm on hands-on, then I feel like, oh, grab this, grab that, grab this, grab that. And just do it. It's strange to...
You can't explain it.
I can't explain it.
It's very intuitive.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a confident person.
I think you are.
Oh, thank you. No, it's just...
All right. Now, how do you handle situations like when you do the tarot card readings? How do you handle situations where people are not accepting of what you share with them?
I don't get many cases, but I get a lot of questioning back, like clarification. Yeah.
What do they hope when you do a tarot card reading? Maybe if you could explain a little bit about the tarot cards. Like, what is a tarot card reading? I've never done a reading before, so if we could do a reading
It's
later.
a huge thing. Tarot cards is a huge thing these days. It was also a huge thing back in the, you know, the ancient times. Yeah, I mean, there are different meanings, connotations to each cards, whether it's upright or reversed, there's different meanings. But again, what's important is how you feel with the card. So the reader has to feel with the card.
The reader being you, is it?
Me, yeah. And you can also try it. I can guide you along.
Okay, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Before we start, we have a few things on the table here.
Yeah.
If you would like to explain.
Okay, so this is 𝙬𝙗𝙧𝙚. That's his name. I know he has like a ponytail, like a female outlook, but it's not. So I got him from the US. I got from this like haunted doll collector. I don't know why I got it. I don't know how I got it. I don't know how I started it. It was just intuitive. So 𝙬𝙗𝙧𝙚 is here because he just wanted to be here. And he's a troublemaker.
You guys are in trouble.
Okay.
A little bit of a backstory. We had some people that was rude to 𝙬𝙗𝙧𝙚. And they had their life turned upside down, and they had to come back to me, begging to see me and ask, why is this happening? What can I do?
They didn't know.
Yeah, they were just ignorant, but
Right.
still it was rude to 𝙬𝙗𝙧𝙚. So yeah, tarot cards, of course, the oil that's set with intentions and spelled sometimes with the moon periods. Then the candle, which is for pet protection. I wanted to do a pet protection spell,
Okay.
but I don't think we have the time.
We can if we
Okay.
get through the questions.
And then
this
the
one?
jewelry. This is a pet charm. We have spelled jewelries as well with intentions.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Because I've never done a tarot card reading before. So you probably have to guide me.
Yeah, of
through it,
course.
yes.
You want me to read for you, or you want to try it yourself?
You can read it for me.
Okay. So let's see. It's gonna be interesting. Do you have like any genre that you're looking at?
I don't know. Relationships in general.
Relationships,
Like,
okay.
yeah. Is that too general?
No, it's good. With regards to that, any specific questions though? It's good to be specific.
Good to be
Yeah.
specific. Wow.
Wow.
That's so weird. Have you had someone like me? I don't know what questions to ask.
No, it's common. How about like the dynamic and how you can improve?
Yeah, that's great.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
yeah.
great. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see the dynamic. We have 3 cards on the dynamic and how you can improve on that.
Sure.
Okay? Interesting. This is the dynamic. It's all facing me. Okay, let's see like 3 cards how to improve on that. Interesting. Okay, I'm not gonna tell you every of the meaning, but if you read ever, like for yourself or for other people, you have to learn like the theme of each card.
Okay.
Kind of, okay? And just go with your feel. I would teach people like just spread it out and then just feel like the buzz on your hand. Okay, so dynamic with your partner, we've got the Judgment upright, the Hermit reverse, Ace of Cups reverse. Okay, so it's all facing me. So what I can see from here is definitely, I would say there's a lot of focus on career more than focus on relationship. Not too much focus on relationship all the time, because you guys are stable. You're just comfortable with each other. Some dynamic of relationships are like, I want to hang out with you, go on a date on this and that. But you guys just do whatever is comfortable and go with the flow. I don't see any like bad, or I wouldn't say it's too good either. I mean, it's not progressive. It's just what it is.
Right.
So that's the dynamic. And how to improve is honestly, well, you can take some time off. Certain things can be delegated. And then we've got the 6 of Cups reverse. It's also not a problem to stick with what you
What I
are
have.
with your partner. It's okay. The Chariot reverse, I would say the relationship, how you can improve it is definitely sometimes a little ego gets in the way with this card. Yeah. But it's solvable. At the end of the day, it's all like, oh, it's done and dissolved. It's,
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
what do you think?
I think you got it on pretty spot on. So, because we work together, so I would say that we do have more focus on what we do for our careers as working partners. And because we have been married for almost a decade now, 10 years, so we're very comfortable.
Right.
We are really like, no need to go on dates. And I think when you talk about the ego one, I would say yes, because we work together, we see each other a lot. So there may be differences in terms of decision making. Of what's best for the company. So I think you got it very spot on.
Yeah, the Chariot is like a high horse thing. So it's like get off your high horse is reverse.
I see.
Yeah.
Right. Now, having said that, like when you give the tarot card readings, what drives that intuition for you to share? Is it purely based on being able to read the cards, or is there sort of like an intuition, a feeling that comes from the reader themselves?
Right. It is the intuition. The card is just a tool for you to see, what theme comes out, right? And how can you connect the theme to your intuition? So there's actually a lot of process behind like everything, the higher self, the brain and the head, everything. It's not easy. And that's why I'm like, I don't want to do this, a tarot reading all the time. It's so draining.
Because do you end up drawing on the person's energy as well?
Tapping into
Into the energy as well to be able to read it. If there is something that is negative that you see, because obviously the other person may not know, right?
Yeah.
Do you actually be completely honest with them? And
I don't like the sugarcoat.
Okay, all right. And how do they take it most times?
I'm gonna like preempt the person, so I will say like, hey, this might sound a little bit bad, or like, you might not be able to take it, but you have to take it because this is what I see.
So the tarot card, is it like a precursor to the other things that you can do for them? Like,
I would say like, if you want a tarot reading, just because you want a clarification on like what path to take ahead, I would show you like the pros and cons. Like if you want to change your job, what's the pros and cons? So tarot is more like clarification. Right?
Okay, right.
Yeah, and spells are more like manifestations. But of course, like, it's not two separate ideas. So some people want clarification first.
And then they decide what spells to do.
And then what to go ahead. So if you're not sure, like, should you go back with your ex, or should you go with this crush of yours? So then you can do like tarot readings, right? Or you can go ahead with spells if you want like someone that's more like right for you.
Now, you mentioned certain words like karma, evil eye, and things like that. And these are words we also often hear with different religions.
Exactly. That's why I say witchcraft is such a huge practice. Your birthday. You make wishes on the birthday candle.
Yeah.
That's also witchcraft, huh?
Oh, really?
You're setting your intentions on a candle, isn't it?
Oh yeah, so we blow it when we blow it out.
But you're just using the wrong color.
Oh, what color should we?
So like green is for wealth, red for love.
Different colors. Now I know. So I'm going to buy the right colors. Okay.
So a lot of practices, even Christmas, is rooted in pagan traditions.
I see. Yes, right.
Yeah.
So in essence, basically, there are certain traditions in society that we do. It's weaved into religious practices as well. So you mentioned earlier there's paganism. Yeah. Do you also draw from the different religions as well?
Yeah, like the druids as well. I do read up on certain techniques and just go with my intuition. Just read out on what aligns with me. But I do celebrate, which is like so-called before Christmas, Samhain. We do a lot of festive celebration at our store.
Right.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Are you religious yourself?
I don't think the word is religious.
Spiritual?
Spiritual.
Hey, how you doing, love mama? Let me whisper in your ear.
Yeah, because religious to me is like, it's kind of man-made sometimes. But what I think is important is you connect to yourself. You are the person here and you have to connect to yourself, not what people tell you. But if a religion speaks out to you, then go ahead with that, because if that's what aligns with you, that's good for you, go ahead with that. Yeah.
Right. Now, how do you, I think there's this thing that people often associate with witchcraft. They may feel that witches worship Satan or, and the devil. So could you shed a little bit more light on
Well,
that?
you see, because witchcraft is such a huge topic, it depends on who you want to work with or what you want to work with. Some people do it with like Satan, or like, people demonize devils as the bad one. There's always this negative connotation. Witchcraft is just bad. But witchcraft can be like, you can just work with lavender, chamomile. You can make like a potion. You can make like a intentional drink. That's also witchcraft.
Right. So it's very customizable. It's really up to the person to see. So if they connect more with spiritual dolls, then that's their medium.
Yeah. You can be a sea witch, a green witch, a kitchen witch, so many different ones.
Right. I see. Now, how do hexes work?
Well, you need the right tool. So everything about witchcraft is so simple. You just need the right tool, the right color. So if you were to like hex someone else, you might want to use like grave dirt, a picture of your target, coffin nails, banishing herbs, and then set your intentions on the flame.
Right.
Yeah, but
And-
don't do that.
Now, have you ever
Yeah.
done a particular ritual that didn't cross an ethical boundary, but it made you maybe uncomfortable?
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I remember I had a customer that said like, can I do like last binding? So last binding is basically to make the other target like horny for you.
Oh.
And to be sexually attracted for you. But this guy wanted 2 at one go. What? And I'm like, no.
Did you say no?
Yeah, I said no. Because
Okay.
this is, even if I do it, it's not going to be correct. Right? Yeah.
Right. How do you know that, like, for example, when you do the spell or you do a curse on that, how do you know that it has worked? Do they come back to you and share it with you that
Yeah.
it has done its job?
So for me, the spells, I always do like a message or like the flame reading, what I observe with the flame and the candle. And then after that, I would send a message out, what I've seen in the flames and what you can do with your own human actions. I always say to my customers, like, human actions are more important than spells.
What do you mean by human actions?
So actions is like, for example, if you were to reconcile with your ex, I would always say, hey, look, you need to open up communication first. You
Right.
need to talk to the person what is wrong first, what went wrong and what you can do. And then secondly, then the spells come in. You don't want to just...
Do the spell and then sit there and wait for something to
yeah.
happen. And how do you balance? Because witchcraft is such a ancient tradition. It's
Yeah.
an ancient practice. How do you balance doing that in modern Singapore?
Gosh, it's hard. If I have any advice for anyone with this question, go out to the nature, the forest, or ocean or the sea, and just like sit there and connect to yourself and just like tap into your intuition. Read some books. If it aligns with you, then go ahead with that.
Right.
Try it.
Now, what advice would you have for someone who wants to follow your journey?
Be ethical. Because you can do a ton of with this. A desperate person can come to you.
And say that, do this for me.
Yeah, and you can take the money. But if you take the money and you buy some nice food for yourself, do you feel good? No. So honestly, it's hard, but be ethical. That's the only advice.
And how do you balance this on a day-to-day? Because you deal with so many emotions. Sometimes maybe if I can go so far as to say the hate of people. Because when they come to you, they're coming with you with a problem, right? It's a...
Yeah, and then you feel for people. It's very draining.
So how do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis? What do you do to protect yourself in essence?
Okay, first of all, I have my team members open up WhatsApp and emails because they themselves feel it sometimes too. Yeah, but I try to desensitize after my work. Like after I'm done with the rituals, the spells, the intentions, I would just like, okay, I need to clear my mind. But sometimes it's hard because my brain does like think about it.
Like racing with the thoughts.
Yeah.
And when you go to bed, like for example, like when you have downtime, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned that you feel things, right?
Yeah.
So technically you don't really have
No.
downtime because even when
Yeah.
you're sleeping, you feel, certain presence and all that.
Yeah.
Does that bother you? Do you feel that's a boon or a...
It's hard because I would say I have a very sticky brain also. And it's very overactive in the very weird way that sometimes I just think of like one of my friends or one of my customers that's like, the energy just keeps coming in. Yeah.
Right. Even
It's-
when they're not there
Yeah.
in front
Yeah.
of you.
And like for example, I'll think about my friend suddenly and I just felt like, okay, I want to reach out to my friend. And my friend's like, how do you know I'm in like some situation right now? And I'm like, I don't know, I just thought of you.
Does that freak them out?
Yeah.
Because I know it will freak me out.
all the time. Yeah.
So having said that, just one question is, do you feel that sometimes like family and friends may be afraid of you?
Honestly, my mom is like, she was afraid of the dolls because I have so many dolls at home. She was like, what is all this? And I don't feel very good with all this. But eventually she felt okay because she felt the sense of protection. Yeah, sometimes
Right.
it's hard with family because I have really staunch family members that are into certain religions and, we don't talk so much anymore.
So you just keep away.
I keep away because I respect
what
them.
they have.
Yeah, not because I want to say like, oh, my way is right. I don't want to do that.
So you've developed an open-mindedness as well,
Yeah,
based on what you've been sharing
Yeah,
as well.
at the end of the day, it's like I grew so much more than I thought. Maybe I was on this journey for
A reason.
a reason.
To learn more about yourself.
Yeah.
Because from everything that you've shared, the words that you've used, like
Yeah.
manifestation, energy,
Yeah.
karma, these are things that I would say like day to day, something that we unintentionally or intentionally look out for, right? When you
Yeah.
do good, you get good.
Yeah.
So to speak,
Yeah.
the universe
Yes.
basically pays you back
Yes.
what you put in.
Or sometimes things are blessings in disguise. Sometimes things are bad to you, but that's only your perception, right?
Right.
But through the perception of the universe or even your friends, it's not bad. If you broke up with this guy.
Maybe there's a reason for it.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Now, one more question I wanted to ask you is that what is the most important thing that you want people to understand about witchcraft?
That witchcraft is not a black and white thing. It's a practice of setting intentions. I want to show you this quote. I find it really interesting. Okay. So it says witches call it spells, Christians call it prayer, spiritualists call it manifestations, atheists call it placebo effect, scientists call it quantum physics. Everyone's arguing over its name, but no one's denying its existence. So to me, it's like it's energy also. The thoughts you put out there, this energy. The thoughts you put out there as well is also affecting your mannerism, your behavior. So one word, if I could put it out there to anyone, belief.
Right.
Yeah.
Belief is just a different form of something.
Yeah.
Different form of something
Yeah.
that exists out
Yeah.
there. Right. That's very nice. What is the most fulfilling aspect of your job?
I would say like what grew me is really spiritually, introspectively. It grew me more than
As a person.
As a person, it's not about the material things anymore. I mean, sure, I did make money, of course. I have manifested so many things. I've done luxury hotels, went luxury travels, whatever. It doesn't really make me happier. It makes me like, okay, this is new, right? But I want to see what I'm made of and what I can do. What's my purpose of this whole journey? Because sometimes I'm like, why am I here? Why am I doing this witchcraft?
Yes, why are you on this
I
particular
question it
journey?
too.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just think, okay, maybe there's a purpose.
You don't have the answers.
I don't have the answers.
Yet.
Not
yeah.
yet.
All right. Thank you so much for
Thank
sharing your
you.
time today, Bambi. It was
Thank
such a
you.
lovely conversation. And I think I've learned a little bit more about what witchcraft is and what it's not.
Yeah.
Right? Now, and to our listeners, thank you so much for watching this episode of Open House. If you really liked this episode, please share it, leave a suggestion, leave a review, and to other guests that you want to see on this episode as well. And also check us out on our socials. Until next time.